Hey, Mike, where'd you get these endless summer movie tickets from?
Whoa, I love those. That's from my Endless Summer box set.
Ooh, where'd you get that from?
The link is in the show notes, baby.
Shout out Tommy Carroll. Wavy. Trapping in the barrel. Flip a brick in the barrel. Put your chick in the barrel. She called me Tom Carroll.
Yeah, everyone. We are super stoked today because we have two-time world champ Tom Carroll. This is a big day for me. One of my favorite surfers of all time. We're going to cover a lot here, from the early days of single fin to him actually seeing the very first thruster made by Simon Anderson. Then we cover everything from being an adrenaline junkie and some of the contests he's surfed over the years, and to what he's doing today, meditation. I never thought I'd get this opportunity. Thank you, Tommy Carroll. We're going to start off the show straight into it, him becoming world champ.
Barrels rounder than a booty. OG surf rapper, you can call me Boothy. Always on row, 100-foot barrels. Better get your mouth, you bored too narrow. Coos can't see me cause I'm always in the barrel. I'm the best surf rapper, ask Tommy Carroll. Trapping in the barrel. Flip a brick in the barrel. Put your chick in the barrel. She called me Tom Carroll.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the QuiverCast. And I can't believe it, but I'm so excited to have Tom Carroll here. How are you, Tom?
Good, Mike. Good to be here. It's really nice to be here.
Oh, thank you for doing this. You know, my first question that comes to mind is, when was the first point that you knew you were going to be world champ?
Probably I could sort of smell the flavour. I'd started winning heats just consecutively. It was like 4 events towards the end of the year, and I won pretty much every heat along those 4 events until the very last one against Shane Horan, which was the final at Bells Beach. By then, I'd actually knew I'd won, but I'd say probably maybe an event before it that I could really smell. The event before I had enough points, and but prior to that, I didn't really have much information that, other than the fact that I could win, and I could win tour events, and I was winning against the best surfers in the world at the time, proved myself quite well in big waves, but now I was in little waves, and it was real tricky, and I wasn't too good. I had to really loosen my body up and get it stronger, and in many different ways, and lighter and think lighter on my feet, and had people like Tom Curran who'd already won an event before me, and I was like, he's like coming on strong. I've got to get something in before he comes along. So Tom was a big motivating factor for me, and in little waves, and also Occy, but Occy still crazy talent already, just booming with talent, but I couldn't. Yeah, I just couldn't. Yeah, all that stuff was. I couldn't see that I was going to be world champion, and kind of like smelt. I guess it's like a smell in the air. and then I wouldn't say it's belief. It's sort of like all of a sudden you kind of know something. Well, that was for me. I kind of knew something was possible in the realm of a world championship, and I kind of almost needed people around me to kind of say you can do this, and I wasn't naturally like, oh fuck, I got this, fuck it, I'm going to be world champion, you know, like it wasn't like that for me at all. No, once it sort of just needed those points, and then I just sort of dropped my idea of the points so I could compete without that in my mind. I could actually just express myself, and those times when I started winning, you know, easily, it was starting to give me that smell like I was talking about before, kind of a scent in the air.
Wow. So you didn't have these big aspirations to be a world champ as a 15-year-old Tom Carroll?
No, it was more like an ambition. You
Okay.
know? I was more sort of like I saw my heroes doing things that I wanted to do, and I really looked up to people like there was culture around the guys that I surf with, my brother and so on, and who's 2.5 years older than me, and we used to follow this sort of kind of an ethos in a group, you know, and you know, it was a certain performance level, you know, we pushed each other. You can see it happening right now with all the, you know, the San Clemente guys, you know, like I can really feel that, and that I love the way that happens, and I love it. The culture sort of starts to draw you in, but our heroes were doing things, and I'm going, well, that's what I want to do. I got to go to Hawaii and do that. I have to, you know, I want to see surfing become this thing too. I was in that era where none of this stuff was available to us. It was just like
it was new.
Raw. It was all new. We just didn't know what was going to happen. We're just like doing it because we were in it. You know, there wasn't much return. Yeah. But it was, I saw Michael Peterson, Mark Richards, you know, Sean Thompson. People like this lived large in my head, in my imagination. And that's the sort of where I was moving towards,
Competing against those guys, the Mark Richards and the Sean Thompson, was that a stress on you? How did you take a heat?
I thought those people were kind of, at first, they were quite out of reach to me, of course, because you just see them as this kind of godlike creatures in your mind as a kid. And then, you know, Mark Richards, I remember I surfed my first final in the World Championship Tour event at Bells Beach in 1982 against Mark Richards. And Mark Richards was on his twin fin. I was surfing this Rincon section is just a soft right. Like it's got nothing to it. Like backside, it's so tricky. And I'd just come off single fins. I was riding a thruster. So I had a little bit more grunt, and thank God for Simon Anderson, you know. But Mark Richards was just like, we were hardcore single fin surfers, by the way. You know, surfers who I always surf were just single fin. We used to thought Emma was cheating, you know, and we twin fins are cheating. It was just insane. And we're just like that. Single fin, the single fin. And it was kind of hilarious. But, surfing against MR at Rincon on this incredible, like, just watching him gliding like twice as fast as what I was going. And I made it all the way to the final by surfing the bowl backside on the thruster for the first time, just loving it. So, and all of a sudden I went Rincon is just, backside is brutal. Yeah. Anyway, MR just sort of made mincemeat of me. I couldn't see myself winning that. I just went, I literally, he just took it out, and I didn't really have much of a choice. I didn't see that I had much of a choice at that time in it until I later on surfed against him, but a few times. But he was very tricky, very tough competitor. And Sean Thompson, very tough competitor and brilliant surfer too, like such an extraordinary influence on my surfing because he was single fin based too. He did come to twin fins later, but we used to love the way he was single fin based and what he used to do on them, and that he inspired us to surf rail harder and more precisely. So surfing against these guys was really tough. It was like, you know, heart in your throat stuff, even if it was such a good day in surfing itself, you know.
How did you feel if you beat them?
Oh, well, that changes your posture.
Okay. Your ego.
Yeah, it changes your posture and the way you're living.
Yes.
Day to day, you know, on the moment it's just a super high, but it kind of changes your posture because you get this injection of confidence. And, you know, like confidence is everything, right? Everything. You get a layer of confidence in your system that can enable you to kind of go a little bit further into the unknown within yourself. You know, that sort of language wasn't available to me back then, but now I know that confidence was layering up every time, and that's what I wanted. I want to keep going for that, you know? Going for that confidence. And I felt that. And each time I surfed against one of those guys as I went, they actually brought the better out of me. They made me better every time. They made me push myself and see towards and get comfortable in the unknown space of like, I don't know, oh man, I just got to tune into the conditions here. I got to tune into the best board I got in the quiver, like tune everything, make it better, like just get better at this, what I'm doing. And I think that's what those wins were really all about. And then, of course, then you come up against your contemporaries, and that's another level of that too, So
Yes. Going to Hawaii the first time, what was the feeling like there?
Oh, wow. Well, I had a lot of stories in my head.
Okay.
When you got a lot of stories in your head, like about something, and you kind of walk into it, you're fresh, and all of a sudden it's a lot different than what you had all the stories. It's like really different, but the stories still remain. You go out in the surf, and it's just, you got all these crazy stories from people who've been in Hawaii. And like my first big wipeout inside Sunset, because back then we weren't using leg ropes at Sunset. And we weren't using leg ropes at Pipeline. So there was a lot of swimming involved.
Yeah.
Coming in inside Sunset, I used to like that inside Sunset backside on the North Swell when I was younger, and I just love it. And I remember literally shitting myself, like literally my pants going over the falls, and all those stories came to once. And then it was quick. I went into full survival, evacuate. It was like, and I actually just shit myself. Like my whole pants fucking filled up as I was going over the falls on the inside. I'll never forget that moment. It was like a weightless shit myself moment. And a proper one, not, had to take my shorts off, clean it,
Wow.
Yeah.
So it was an eye-opening experience, or like how the first couple of years, I mean, leaving big Sydney and surfing, Australia, was there a huge difference?
Big difference. Just a huge difference in the way the water moves against that island, the Oahu, or all the islands. Just that there's this, these spikes that sit out off the ocean floor, and you got this massive ocean around it, these huge north winter storms just pulsing down on it. And the way the water moves around the reefs and stuff, it got me super excited. And I loved the power. I loved every minute. I was surfing every day as long as I possibly could. I just loved it, even if it was a crap day, or it didn't matter to me. I was just surfing no matter what. I loved every minute of those. I mean, I love going to Hawaii, and it's just like my second home. But at 16, my first trip, every layer of me, when I went home to Sydney in the middle of summer, quite particularly, it's quite flat. There was no. I just looked at the ocean when there's no water moving. I'm like, it just wasn't moving around the coastline. It just, and just the way the water was moving, it just wasn't moving. I was like, oh, this is, yeah,
wow,
yeah, a lot alive. It felt so alive,
So, were you ever scared? I mean, you said you were scared at sunset, when you went over the falls. Was it like, were you afraid for your life, or were you just a little bit intimidated?
A little bit intimidated, and but never like to that point of like completely, I'm not going out, freak out sort of stage. I liked the feeling of pushing myself in that fear state, and like pushing through. The adrenaline felt good. Like I liked the adrenaline through the system. I've become a full adrenaline junkie. Like that, you could say it, because it felt so good to get through the adrenaline. And then there's this kind of euphoria at the other side of it. Like you come out and you're just like, oh man, I thought I was going to die out there. I got caught inside at sunset, lost my board, like got 10 waves. I don't know. I don't know where to swim. I got to swim this zone. Somehow get back to shore and get some puff back in me, paddle back out. Thankfully my board didn't get dragged out the cami grip, and you go out to sea, and it sort of come the number of times that happened where I kind of come back, got the board, got some more wax on it. All right, I'm going to go for another one, and that's the way you got to know sunset, really, back then.
your brother's a little bit older. Did you guys go to Hawaii the first time together, or did he go before you?
I went before he did.
Oh, you went before he did. Okay.
Yeah. And he came the next year
Mm-hmm.
and experienced it. I had the opportunity to go, and I just went for it. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
So did you have a talk with your brother before he headed over there? Kind of gave him a heads up?
Yeah. He was jealous. Like, he couldn't believe that I was getting to go before him. At the time, like, he was looking forward to, actually it was funny. I remember getting back home and it was just the music we were listening to at the time. I was Led Zeppelin and all that sort of stuff. And then,
rock.
and then I get home and he's listening to like this weird music, didn't make any sense to me. And it was the Sex Pistols. And I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? Like I couldn't listen to it. It was just so not me. And then like within a month, I'm fucking Sex Pistols. It was just the way it was, But it sunk into me, But
did Nick get you into surfing, or did you guys start at the same time?
We kind of fell into it similar times. But Nick, there was like a Christmas holiday. What we call the Christmas holidays for us are our summer holiday period. So we have like 6 weeks off school. And during that period, I remember Nick went and I got this surfboard and I borrowed his board. He had a fiberglass and I had a foam surfboard.
Mm-hmm.
And I borrowed his board and then I got a fiberglass board for myself. I ended up sort of borrowing some money out to pay it back to my dad and got this $25 board, and I was at the beach with my buddy all day, every day that Christmas holidays, and Nick was off with his buddy playing tennis and all those different, I was like going, that's kind of like, I don't know where he went, to be honest.
Yeah.
He went and did something completely different that summer. I got more efficient in the ocean at that time. He came back to it and he went, geez, Tom's gotten good. I better kind of step my act. But Nick was a brilliant surfer. He became a twice Australian champion.
Yeah.
In the amateur ranks, and he did really well, Nick. He's a brilliant surfer, yeah. Mm.
And quite the writer too, right?
Yeah, he's a wordsmith. Call him that.
Was there competition between you guys growing up, pushing each other surfing?
Always,
Okay.
Yeah. There's always that sibling rivalry.
Yes.
Is big, so Nick is hyper competitive by nature, and I'm sort of half that.
Okay.
Or I'm not 24/7, walk around, got to compete. Whereas my brother is more so like that. He loves the strategy, likes getting in the nitty gritty, and likes to just work out how to win at all costs. So, like to have I think that in my older brother kind of spurred me on. Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that.
Mm.
Going back to the boards where you're talking about earlier, the transition between a single fin and the thruster. Do you remember like the first thruster you tried?
Yeah. First thruster I saw was actually the first one that Simon Anderson made.
Wow.
I was in Hawaii where I was at Simon's place in the Kuilima Estates in Hawaii, North Shore there at the Turtle Bay, and he goes, Tom, I want you to have a look at something. I said, okay, yeah, okay. He walked me into his bedroom. He goes, look at this thing. And I looked at it and I went, tiny little fins, like
Okay.
and 3 of them sitting on I'm going, this wide tail. I was into narrow tails, fin right back on the tail, big fin. And he was on this wider thing. He goes, yeah, I've had enough of like these guys on twin fins beating me. I've gone, I like that, Simon. I like that. And because I used to idolize Simon. I idolized him. And he made all my boards for Hawaii. Well, my bigger wave boards for Hawaii at that time.
Yeah.
And he goes, do you want to take it for a ride? And I'm going, it's kind of like a crap afternoon. And there's a couple of fun waves at Rocky Point with a cone of wind on it. And I'm going, maybe another day, but my Newport buddy, Dougal Walker, was with us he walked in the room about that time and said, "Oh, you're not going to ride it, Tom? I'll ride it." Okay. So I remember him just going, "I'll take it for surf, and we're going to go surf Rocky Point." I said, "Hey, Dougal, just let us know how you go." I trusted Dougal's take on it, and he actually could ride twin fins quite well. I wasn't much of a twin fin surfer, of course, like I said.
Yeah.
But Dougal, you had this swivel hips thing he used to do, and he used to be able to fit in the twin fin. Anyway, I've gone, anyway, let's see how this goes. And I remember him coming back that night and him saying, "Tom, this board's insane. Like, this board's so good." And I've gone, wow. So if Dougal's saying that, Simon's claiming it, I better go home. And I had a good look at the board, had a good look at what the fins were. And I went back to Burn Surfboards. Phil Byrne used to shape my boards.
Yes.
I said, "Phil, you wouldn't believe," because I was trying to ride twin fins, and a couple of twin fins that Phil maybe one went okay, but backside was tricky. Anyway, we ended up sort of taking the twin fin design, turning into a round tail, and we put these channels in that called the clinker bottom. We called the clinker bottom. It's like a belly channel in the middle, one belly channel and one channel coming off the rail, and the twin fin would sit out on that inside that channel. It goes out through the rail. Anyhow, we just put a little fin on the tail, or a smaller fin, but we kept and we cut the twin fins down a bit.
Okay.
And I got a 6'1" made from Phil, which is a regular size board for me back then.
Yeah.
And that was my first thruster. I ended up getting a 5'10" made by him too, and both those boards went amazing. Like, I never been so fast on a board. And actually, the one thing it was doing, though, is it was pushing me out on the face to make me do these longer cutbacks, which I love doing. But my friend said, "Get off them. You're better on the singles because you could tuck in tight on the, in the pocket."
Yes.
And they looking, you're just dancing around out in the face. Nah. And I'm going, but they feel awesome. So it took a while, and they weren't perfect. It took a while before we figured all that stuff out.
Once you adopted the thruster, you already talked about how your surfing started changing. Did you see the progression of surfing change dramatically between all you guys, all the top guys?
Oh, yeah, you could see it starting to take off. I didn't trust them in bigger waves, but I started to sort of mold into, surfing them in little waves and just getting so much more speed. And I could sections that I would never make prior to it.
Okay.
I'd see everyone starting to make more waves, make the sections, just that feeling that you get when that sort of design kind of stretches us all at once, and the collective kind of froth that happens is quite amazing. And I'm so happy to have lived in that moment, to actually have had that experience, and just the kind of like surge of kind of enthusiasm that came through me and all the other surfers in general. And then you get the few crew going, "Oh, they're just like, no."
Right.
It's so, the grumpy crew. You just see yourself, bye. So it's, and I it was such a really special time, the early 80s, and trying to figure it all out.
Were the contest and the judging changing also because of the thruster?
For sure, like trying to sort of stretch themselves out and understand, all of a sudden we're riding, generally being able to turn waves that we couldn't surf before into actually surfable waves. Sort of changed the oceanscape, the landscape, if you like, of surfing. So we're actually reaching more performance out of less wave.
Yeah.
And that changed things up for the judges. Had to really sort of start to, like that. So it's like a stretch it all out, guys, open it up. And, of course, like I said, like some waves that we wouldn't normally make, faster waves. I remember Bells Beach, I could take off further up in the inside on this is a kind of flat wave bells. It doesn't have, much running power, running speed off a single fin. And you have to get when you get a high line on a thruster, it changed everything. You could
Yes.
just get this high line and just spin it off that little top, perhaps quarter of the wave, maybe even the eighth of the wave. You could run it along that high line and just get so much speed, and then just tweak it a little bit more and get a bit more. Whereas
Yes.
single fins, you may get a little first high line, but then you'd come down and then sort of lose speed or lose that ability to hold you in that high line, or actually get out and way around whitewater. It
Yes.
just which I love. I love the single fin, by the way, and its beautiful smoothness. But in that place on the wave, the thruster started to sort of come into its own, and particularly in being able to, the backfoot surfers of the time.
Let's go forward till today real quick. You said you love single fins. Do you have any single fins in your quiver today?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
I've got a number of single fins.
Okay.
Coming from longboard all the way down to a 6.0 that I like to ride from time to time. To actually shape myself, I got 8 channels, and it's super fun to ride. But of course, we're so the QuiverCast. It's like we've got a cast of like characters in my garage. They're
Yes,
kind
there
of
you go.
speaking. They speak to me. They go, this one's good. This is the juice. This is where the juice is flowing today. I'm going to take that out.
I love that.
And when it's on, that's when it's on. I grab that single fin and I just have so much fun. It's a really wonderful feeling.
Do you ever make a bad judgment call? Grab the wrong board?
Oh, yeah. If I'm in a hurry and there's a lot going on in my head, people sort of phone calls and people, I've got to get in the surf, and I drive down the beach and I've got the board not the board that's speaking to me when I look at the waves. And I rush, and I haven't put the board in the car. I've got these other boards that are kind of there but not there for it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be paddling around the lineup going, Jesus, the other board would have, I've got my head in the other board. It doesn't, it's not advantageous. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I love that. I love your analogy of that. Like, the QuiverCast. Okay. You know what? I did something today I never normally do, but I asked some people on Instagram if they have some questions for you. So
Sure.
Chad Bonsack, he asked, Surfing the World Tour, is there anything you liked better back in the 80s and 90s than the current tour? Was the tour better back then or now?
I think it's amazing. I think today it's like, as far as like levels, like the levels of surfing.
The levels are amazing.
I go, wow, these kids, like, they're just taking it there. And that's why we do the tour, to kind of get better at what we're doing. And I think I wouldn't want to be in it for the social media aspect of it. I reckon back in the day we were able to be a lot freer with the way we are as a person, or perhaps more expressive. I'm not sure. Maybe that's wrong. But at the time, the way we socialised was quite different, and kind of, I'm glad that a lot of stuff, people weren't getting me on video. Like, I was like, some of the things we were getting up to, yeah. But we had so much fun. It was a lot of fun. It was quite, at times, serious and very intense and tough and hard and, like heartbreaking at times. But the light times, it was super light. We had a wonderful time on the tour, and it felt real free. Today, there's so many complexities that are on the to place before you as an athlete. The fact that they've got to all kind of do their social media thing as a part of their whole, which is a big deal to them all, and they've all must feel that pressure, and then the judgment through that. It would be, if you wanted to stand up for something that you felt like strong about. Okay, let's consider the storm this is going to create. Social media can be an extraordinary storm of events that go way beyond the issue that kind of starts out.
Yes.
So I think for that alone, I think that's I'm glad I went through it when I did. But today's tour, we're still finding the best, rise to the top. And it's such a wonderful thing to see the women, like seeing the
Killing
women doing their thing. And like we missed out on, we had half of humanity was sort of still deadened to a point, like I used to wonder why that, why this had to be that the girls had to stay on the beach and the boys are surfing. I was just, why'd you guys surfing? Come on.
Yeah.
No. It was just no, that if you're a girl surfer, we were way outside the square for women.
Yes.
So, but today you can see it. And I think this is where social media has been amazing. The two-edged sword of it comes the other way, is that all these young girls get to kind of see how, en masse, to sort of grow themselves into, these young women are very efficient and their performances are their own performances.
Yes.
They're them, and you can see what's happening. It's so cool, Mike. I love it.
Well, talking back to the current tour, in my opinion, the women surfing is top notch. Like I'm almost looking forward to watching the women just as much as the men, if not more.
More, a couple of times more. Yeah, I was like, oh, what's going on with the women?
Yeah. Depends on the heat draw, of course.
The same thing. And so it's all becoming very entertaining, all like very, it's like I want to watch this heat, like, and I want to watch every minute of it. So it's not like back in the day I go, oh, can I sit there and watch this?
Yeah.
And sometimes I do have a hard time watching surfing too. Like I just want to be doing it. So sitting down and watching an event, for me back in the day, it was really hard. I was so ADHD. Like I just go, what do you mean? I'm going to sit here at the bleachers and watch an event? I'm not going to sit here and watch this.
Yeah.
It was like that. Yeah. And now I can definitely sit and watch and absorb and take it in.
Going back to the early 80s and stuff, and when you won the world titles, the 2 world titles, the wave events were at different locations than they are today. The waves weren't as good, I don't think, right?
No,
a lot of beach breaks, piers.
Yeah, there was no waiting period. It was like
no waiting period either. Yeah,
no, it was like basically if you're in, so they had a trials event. It'd be a 5-day event. So the trials would go on, and that would be on the Wednesday, Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
You basically get to the event on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then if you're in the top 16, you'd start on the first heat on Friday and then surf through second round, maybe quarters on Saturday, and then the rest of the finals on the Sunday, and then leave on the Monday.
Yeah.
And they'd be held in just whatever it was there. It wasn't it was on, the event was on, and that was it. Didn't matter what it was like. Could be huge typhoon swell in Japan that's just unrideable. You had to paddle out some other beach to try and paddle around, and then it was like that, and then we basically be in like in Florida one year. They made a joke about it. This is one of the events that I won towards my world title. That they were going to run a boat along the shore to kind of get waves. Singer Island in Florida. So, and then we had to drive up the coast to do the final. I compete against Joe Baran, and that's the way it was. And a lot of events would be like the most challenging conditions, tiny, small or big. It didn't matter. And Pipeline Masters, you're out there. They did develop waiting periods, though, in Hawaii, which was really helpful. But Pipeline Masters, many of them, they just send us out there. It'd be like closing out crazy north swell, or just a brand new big, huge west swell turning cone of wind and am I going to
survival?
Get out there? Yeah, fully. Yeah. That's how we came through. And then we used to have a lot of events. And so 50-something events in the year, something.
Wow.
Well, I did 26 events in a year, pretty much.
Yeah.
So that's sort of a lot of events.
That's crazy.
Yeah, a lot of travel.
Did that burn you out? Or was it fun?
I was burnt out, and I didn't know it. I was sort of pushing myself beyond myself, and I think that's
I get that.
Yeah, it cost
You're a
me.
young man. You're on top of the world. You're one of the best surfers in the entire world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you think you got to stop? I can't stop. I
No.
stop.
I'm glad you didn't, but I could see that being hard mentally. Not that I know, but I mean, I'm just guessing. But
That can be tricky.
it could be tricky. Did you guys have some good waves though? I mean, you guys did have some good events.
I'd be like, Burley, Kira. We used to have, Hawaii season was great.
Oh yeah, Hawaii.
The European season, and then we'd have Western Australia, and sometimes good waves at Bells, sometimes good waves in Sydney for the Coke event, and any kind of power source, like Margaret River. Particularly, I used to love competing at Margaret River. It's just about to go on, so I got to know that wave really closely. I won it as a CT twice, and a qualifying series event once too. But I love the Western Australian waves. I actually won a junior Australian title over there when I was 16.
Wow, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Surfing in the Western Australia, you've been on the east side. How different are the waves there? Is there a huge difference?
Yeah, see, what happens is any West Coast, you're going to have the storms coming towards you.
Yes.
Any West Coast on the planet, you've got the weather systems revolving around from west to east.
Yes.
And as they revolve, those storms that develop swell go towards the coastline.
Yeah.
And so that drives the ocean towards the coastline. So whatever you're going to get is generally a little bit more, either a long period, you'll get more longer period swells, or witness a longer period swells, and swell trains hitting quite a bit before the front too. So you'll get that. Down in Western Australia particularly, you get that. Those storms come right across from underneath Africa. So they come right across underneath Africa through the roaring 40s and the band of storm activity that revolves around underneath the planet. And they just spin swells straight up into that southwest kind of bulb at the bottom of southwestern Australia. And there's just a stretch of coastline there around Margaret River, that whole area, where it just hits these beautiful reefs. And when you get an easterly wind on that and it's just groomed offshore and the place.
Dreamy.
Even if it's 4 feet, there's still a lot of power in the swell.
Okay. Big difference from where you grew up, obviously.
Yeah, where I grew up on the East Coast, we do get some solid swell. We get a lot of surf. We don't.
You do.
We get a lot of surf, but it quite often will be short, sharp, wind swelly conditions around 7-8 second period. Every now and then in the winter we get a few 16-second period swells, but very rarely do we get anything out beyond that. It's more East Coast orientated, sort of like the East Coast USA, a lot of wind swell activity, giving you short, sharp, localized wind swell events, which really are kind of your staple bread and butter. And that's all we've got around here,
Do you remember when your first event?
Yeah.
What event was it?
Funnily enough, it was at Sunset Beach.
Okay.
On my backside, and I beat Mark Richards.
You got him back.
I got him back, and it was a 4-man final. Glenn Rawlings and Sean Thompson was in the final, but I got to beat those guys at Sunset on the backside. It's the first time I felt so good about that. It was like, I've got that one in the bag, Sunset,
Okay.
And then I knew Pipeline was coming, but yeah.
Do you remember what it was like standing in front of the crowd after winning the event?
Oh, yeah. Very,
What's that feeling like?
yeah, just really special. All that work and all the confirmation of the work that you've done, why I'm here, why, you know, it all sort of like settles within the system. Like I said, and the posture changes. All of a sudden, there's a
Yes.
posture shift within the whole body and the way you're kind of walking in the world. The confidence comes into the system, and you just feel literally on top of the world. And to win, that was in 1982 at the Sunkist World Cup in Sunset Beach on single fin. So
Yeah.
that's my first win of an event.
That's awesome. Let's go to today.
Yeah.
So you started meditating. When did you start doing that and you're going to change you?
Oh, yeah. So I needed to change.
Okay.
There was a powerful corrective event took place in my life where I was a drug addict. I was addicted to stuff that took me above, you know, like I loved that sort of feeling, that, like I said, adrenaline junkie, kind of like couldn't get it. You know, all of a sudden I had like this supposed not really, I have to come back to normal life, you know, in the 90s. And I was like going, oh, this is kind of weird. I've got to be a normal person now. Like, what's that mean? You know, like,
yeah.
And I didn't feel that. And I really didn't know. I'd already tasted drugs, the feeling, but I knew that was where I could escape some of the feelings of being in reality at that time. And that helped. It helped me for a while, like to kind of escape for a minute and then come back. And I kind of what it seemed, but it was very unhealthy. I could see that it was a very unhealthy thing happening, but I didn't know. I just thought I could change it any time I wanted, but eventually it sort of took on its own life around about in the around 2006, I fell into treatment, and I really needed. I had this beautiful wife, beautiful kids, beautiful life, and I was doing this stuff in the background, which was killing me basically. And it was, it turns into a bit of a death wish and a very dark place to be. And it was at that point where my mind was crazy, but I was in treatment. I was trying to stop this thing, and I'd surrendered to the recovery program that was available. Thankfully, surrender's a hard one to come to when you're a fighter, and you kind of surrender to win. It's a funny kind of juxtaposition that happens. And in that time, there was a little opening, and it was suggested that meditation's, not a bad idea. And I thought, well, fuck, anything to stop this thinking.
Okay.
I've got to stop this thinking, and I've got to stop it. But you can't stop thinking with thinking. But
good point.
You cannot think your way out of it. So
right.
The wonderful thing is I just started to put this tool of meditation in my life on a daily basis. That started to open the doors to other change in my life, like open myself up, because I closed off in the influence of my addiction. I just closed off, and like you become this tiny little thin slither of yourself, really. You become very, very narrow in your view on everything in the influence of the addict. And the addict kind of had to crawl off into the nether reaches of the being, because I've become all of a sudden, because I couldn't be honest before, and that was where the addict thrives. And all of a sudden I become honest about stuff, started opening up, started getting things moving. So it just pissed off, buck onto Jesus, I can't survive in this. And that's when I started placing the meditation in, so I could sort of start working that openness within myself, and which was explained to me through the people around me guiding me and saving me. So, and I think that was the key, being able to reach out. A time when I wouldn't normally reach out, I was able to reach out, and I needed a lot of help at that time. So I've kept up the meditation, by the way. I can't believe I've done this and evolved my practice over time to a different style of practices, and now I'm teaching it. So go figure. There's the last thing I thought I'd ever be is a meditation teacher, but never in my wildest dream would have thought that I would be a meditation teacher. But it's so relevant.
Yeah.
for the way we are today as a human, with all this information coming at us, and how to actually sort of manage our own, flesh,
Process it.
flesh and process it and become less reactive to what seems to be something I've got to react to.
That's true. Yeah, so everyone can watch you. You do it on Instagram, right?
Yeah, I give a little stage one. I call it stage one meditation, which is very basic. Stage one, I use a mindfulness style of practice with a little breath sequence prior to it. So we kind of like move towards the practice just prime ourselves a little bit. But I do it regularly on 3 mornings a week. I do it tomorrow morning, which is Tuesday here, tomorrow morning at 5:50 a.m. through Quicksilver, with my sponsor. And
Yes.
Quicksilver's got a big reach, so they've been really kind for them to let me have a go at that. And then I do it on Thursday and Saturday mornings as well. And
That's excellent. Thank you for doing it.
Yeah, so I do it 3 mornings a week. I kicked that off during the pandemic, so we've been going for about 4 years. Just kept it moving.
Just practicing will get us better at it if you're new to it, right? Just keep trying it.
Yeah, well, you think about this is an instrument for our ability to view the world, through this thing we call the body and the mind.
Yes.
We kind of call them separate, but they're just one thing. We call it one thing of mind, one thing of body. But it's an instrument. I've never played a violin before. If I picked up a bow and a violin right now, started playing it, it'd all just piss off. You go, Tom, we can't deal with you. That sounds terrible.
Yes.
And so when we play the instrument of the body and the mind for the first time, when we go in, close our eyes, it's very unusual. And it doesn't make any sense, particularly if we've just been doing people and that's all we do. And the thing is, when we go in and we start to experience it more regularly and we give ourselves the gift of the practice, we start to actually see that the layers beyond that, which are available to all of us, we're not everyone. This is non-exclusive, all-inclusive practice, which actually gets us to actually see who we truly are beyond all that stuff at the surface that's just trying to grab our attention. But take a little commitment.
Yes.
At first, a bit of discipline, but as the discipline is placed into the system, at some point, I'm not going to give you any time frame, that will transfer into a devotion towards the practice. You become a devotee to the practice, which I'm not saying it's like a religion or anything. This is just a simple practice, which may open you to a whole new way of life. And in fact, one that you may not have even imagined. Yeah. So that's been my experience.
That's excellent. I love those. Yeah. I'm practicing, but it is a challenge.
Yeah. And you're going to a place that doesn't make any sense to go to be honest.
Yeah.
Especially with all the information that we've had in our life and our cultural influences, our family influences, all that stuff, social influences. We're kind of moving away from that and going inward. But that's where all the answers are. There's no, that's where it all is. When we have to dig deep, where are we digging deep? When shit hits the fan, where do we have to go? We have to go in. And we don't want to leave it till that moment because it'll be too unfamiliar and we'll just spin out and go the other way.
Yes.
So anyway, that's a bit of a short and curly of it. But
perfect.
You can
Thank you.
Give yourself the chance.
A couple more people wrote in. So Will Weber wrote, you know Will probably.
Yeah, I know Will. Yeah.
He said,
I know Will.
If we both go to heaven, can I drop in on the first wave?
Yes, Will. You can drop in on me anytime. In fact, let's do it anytime. You don't have to go to heaven. Let's share a couple. Now.
All right. I heard you love to share waves.
I love it. Yeah.
All right.
What's the point of getting all angry about a wave? It's fucking hilarious. The wave disappears into the shore and you're all angry.
That's true.
These people
That's
angry.
A good point.
I go, what? Okay. You want to be angry about that? Like, what's the point?
All right. And then Lennon wrote in, what's your favorite left in the world?
G-Land, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
G-Land.
Yeah.
And then what's your home break today?
It's just the northern beaches of Sydney. A bunch of different beaches I kind of call home. And there's waves here at Avalon Beach where I live. I surf regularly, but I surf all the way along the beaches here. Yeah, on northern beaches of Sydney. I call home.
Excellent. All right, everyone. This is Mike and Tom Carroll, and thank you so much, Tom, for coming on the show.
Yeah, my pleasure, Mike. My pleasure, Mike. Epic.
All right, everybody. This is Mike and Tom, and we're out of here. Thanks, Tom.
Trapping in the barrel. Flip a brick in the barrel. Got your chick in the barrel. She call me Tom Carroll. Trapping in the barrel. Flip a brick in the barrel. Got your chick in the barrel. She call me Tom Carroll. Stealth, black, gaff. Pull up at your beach with the wax. Cook's all salty cause I made a surf rap. Got it from the beach, took it to the trap. Got that loot, might grab mute. 18 carat fins, zebra wetsuit. Board shorts cute and a boost like Bruce. Al Merrick said that my towel too loose. Trapping in the barrel. Flip a brick in the barrel. Put your chick in the barrel. She call me Tom Carroll. Trapping in the barrel. Flip a brick in the barrel. Put your chick in the barrel. She call me Tom Carroll. Night surf booties. Checking it suck rock if you ride a boogie. Barrels rounder than a booty. OG surf rapper, you can call me Boothy. Always on row, 100-foot barrels. Better get your mouth, you board too narrow. Coos can't see me cause I'm always in the barrel. I'm the best surf rapper, ask Tommy Carroll. Trapping in the barrel. Flip a brick in the barrel. Put your chick in the barrel. She call me Tom Carroll. Trapping in the barrel. Flip a brick in the barrel. Put your chick in the barrel. She call me Tom Carroll. Surf trap, slippery surfer, Shrek gang, Tommy Carroll. Tommy Carroll.
Hey, you guys. Endless Summer box set. This thing is legit. It's authentic. Numbered certificate in it. It has a 5-frame film strip from the original print. You will literally own a piece of history. It has a specially minted bronze medallion. Dude, that thing's sick. Okay, there's so much more here. Go to the show notes. There's a link on there. Go check this piece of history out. This thing's rad. Seriously. Smithsonian American History Museum has it. It took 4 years of research with 3.5 in production, all hand assembled. This thing's rad. So much to this awesome box set. Remastered DVD, sharper images than the original film, but dude, this thing's so sick. Link in the show notes.